Hello everyone, welcome to this video. Today I am going to show you how you can build your own custom dorms in The Sims 2 if you own University Expansion Pack, Legacy or Ultimate Collection. I will explain which are the essential objects that you have to have inside of your building and how to change your regular building into a dorm. First, let me explain where you can build a dormitory. So, you know that when you load your game, you're in some of the neighborhood where you play. And there are also sub-neighborhoods which you can see on the very top of the screen right now. Dorms should be built in University sub-neighborhood, and if you don't have it added or created for your neighborhood that you're playing at, click on the icon and now you will be able to create a college. You can choose from 3 sub-neighborhoods that are already created in the game, and you can add one of them or all 3 of them. That depends on you and which neighborhood you want to choose to play with, or you can create a completely custom college sub-neighborhood. I'm going to add them all into my neighborhood, so you will just click this button and then it will create all of the sub-neighborhoods. This is what you will see once it's created, and I'm gonna switch to Sims State University because I prefer this look of this neighborhood. You should always build dorms inside of the sub-neighborhoods of universities, because if you will do them in your standard neighborhood, it can cause the corruption of your game. Now I'm going to place an empty lot wherever I feel like, and I like this spot. So I'm gonna choose the size of a lot I prefer, and I'm going to place it on the road. Once the game will ask you which lot type you wanna choose a residential lot. Name it how you prefer it and then confirm. Default dormitories usually include a number of the rooms that you have there, but if you're not sure how many rooms you wanna build, just name it as you prefer. You can always rename it later, but now we will enter this lot. Now let's get to building, and I'm not going to go through all the core basics like how many floors can we have and how to eventually build more of them. But if you're interested about that, you can watch my video about how to build apartments, where I'm talking about how many floors are the limit and how you can avoid it. If you want to avoid any issues, I will always recommend you to keep the building simple. So don't build too many floors, don't clutter the building too much, because you have to think about routing. That is where your sim will walk around the furniture, and The Sims 2 requires a little bit more extra room around objects for your sims to walk around them and to function properly, compared to The Sims 4 if you play The Sims 4 as well. Let's talk about the number of the rooms that you should build in your dormitories. There is no specific number as a requirement for the number of the rooms, so this is more about your imagination. I personally prefer to build about 8 rooms because you can play with up to 8 sims in your household. So I am going with 8 rooms for this build, but you can definitely have less than that, or you can have more than that. Keep it simple because there will be roommates that will move in as NPCs to all the rooms that will be not occupied by your household. So if you will build too many of the rooms, there will be too many of sims on your lot. And although this game doesn't have too high requirements for the computers, it should be better to keep it simple, to not overflood the game with too many NPCs, to eventually prevent any kind of save file corruption. Let's talk about what kind of rooms you should definitely include in your build. So I'm going for a 2-story building with a foundation, and I will have 8 rooms which will be claimable by either NPCs or my played household members. Apart from the rooms for your sims, you will need to have a kitchen area. This is really important because we're gonna talk about items that you should always include in dorms, but I will talk about them in a little while. Apart from a kitchen area, you need some bathrooms. You should build a living room where your Sims will be able to meet up and communicate together. You should also include some areas where they can study, such as a room with computers or with some activities where they can build their skills. And I also like to include a gym. Those rooms that I just named are more of a recommendation because apart from the rooms where your Sims will live and kitchen area and bathrooms, none of the other rooms are required for functional dormitories. I said earlier that there are certain objects that you have to include in your dorms to make them fully functional. So now let's talk about those objects and what you should definitely not forget in your builds. I created a cafeteria and that's the area that you are looking at. Very important object which has to be included there if I want someone to come and cook food for my Sims is a specific stove. You will find it among the kitchen appliances in the kitchen room, and it's this one which is called Shiny Time Cooktop. This is the same type of cooktop that you would include in builds where you are creating restaurants, so industrial type of cooktop. Very signature thing for The Sims is that a lot of things do catch on fire, especially if your Sim is cooking with a low level of cooking skill on a hob. So another essential item that you have to include in your build is not a fire alarm, but this security sprinkler. You will find it in the kitchen under miscellaneous category. I place more than one in my kitchen and I always make sure to place it really near to that cooktop. And although it's not super important, I also include in my builds the fire alarm that I was talking about earlier, and I usually place it in every single build that I do in every Sims game. Because we need to prepare the food, we need to place some kitchen counters and also some island counters. Island counters are especially important because those are the counters which will be used to place the food on, so your Sim will be able to grab a portion from the island counter. So make sure to include enough of them and there will be enough of food for all of your Sims. You can see that I'm placing a fridge here and I will include one more island counter, and apart from that we will also need to include either a dishwasher or at least a sink. I'm including both of it because that's gonna be easier for my Sim to clean around if it's needed. Now you can place more items that you prefer and you're used to. As I said, this is the fire alarm, and I also make sure to include a trash can in the room where I have my kitchen. That's actually one of the items that I forget almost all the time in my The Sims 4 builds. And I will tell you one simple explanation why I always forget about the trash can, and that is because I'm used to previous Sims titles and I always used to use the appliance, which is the garbage disposal, and I really miss that in The Sims 4 and I wish it was in the game. But this is the video about The Sims 2. Let's include some light to make it a bit bright and move to the next room where we are going to place another item. We moved to the public area and I designed this specific place with a little table where I'm going to place a phone. Although it's not absolutely crucial to include a telephone in your build, it will make it definitely easier for your Sims to receive phone calls from home or from their friends, and also to be able to order certain services and visit other lots in your sub-neighborhood. You can include more phones than just one, but I would at least recommend you to get one in your public area. And we are moving to the crucial part of how to make your rooms functional and your dorms to have claimable rooms. There is a specific type of the door which is called Myne Door, and you will find it in the door category, and this is how it looks like. and make sure that you are choosing this specific door, because if you are familiar with building certain buildings in The Sims 2, there are doors for apartments and also for hotels. But Myne Door is the one which came out with University, and this is the door that you will need to place to every individual room. If you place any other door to your individual rooms, it will not be functional. And once you have the right door, you also have to make sure that your door is facing the right direction. If you will place it like this, with the stickers, for example, on the door right now, facing to the public area, it will not be functional. You have to make sure that the door is facing to the public area with this square on the top, which will have a picture of the sim who claimed the room later once they will move into the dorm. Now I'm going to furnish all the rooms, and I like to design them slightly different. They have all the same furniture, but I like to play with colors, so it has the unique characteristic. You can also include a mini fridge which came out with Univeristy Expansion Pack, and that will make it easier for your sim to grab a snack anytime they want. If you are finished with your build and if you're happy with how it looks like, it's time to turn this lot into a dorm type of lot, and we will need to use a cheat for that. And if you don't know how to access a cheat console, you will have to press CTRL SHIFT and C all together on your keyboard, and the little console for cheats will appear. You will type there change lot zoning altogether space dorm and press enter. There is no visual change to your lot. As you may be familiar from building apartments, the mailbox changes to apartment type of mailbox, and the only way how to test if this is a functional dorm will be to get into the neighborhood and try to move your sims in. You can also see that when I'm hovering over the lot, it says space available, which is a good sign, and that means that I can move my sim in. Now I have one thing to do, which is to playtest this lot to see if everything is functional. If you have any questions related to dorms or The Sims 2 in general, ask me in the comment section. I hope that this video was helpful to you guys, and if you're not subscribed to my channel, please consider to subscribe. Like this video because that always helps, and I hope that I will see you in some of my other videos really soon. Thank you so much for watching, and bye!